Story time. I've always taught my children, fill up your gas tank at half a tank. Never let it go below that. Why? This is the story behind that philosophy. So this was mid to late 90s. My son was less than a year old, and I was managing shoe stores. His father worked construction, usually, for himself. And I worked at one of those strip malls, right? Managing a shoe store. And the deal was that we would all go together, drop the baby at daycare, drop me at work, then my husband would take the car for work. So we go fill up the car, drop the baby at daycare, drop me for work. My husband was supposed to go to work. He didn't. He had substance abuse issues, more than what I knew at the time. And he didn't go to work. He went out partying all day long. And at the end of the day, he came and picked me up. And then we went to daycare and picked up the baby. And then on the way home, the car broke down. It just kind of sputtered and then died. I ease it off onto the side of the road, and I call a tow truck. And I have the car towed to the dealership. Now, dealership repairs are generally more than your average body shop, right? Your local auto mechanic. Dealers always more. Well, back in the 90s, this was a lot for the 90s. So when I give you these dollar figures, kind of compare it to today's prices. So they look at the car and they said, oh, it's not registering fuel, so it must be the fuel pump. So where the fuel pump is in this particular car, we're going to have to drop the tank and to get to it. So they quoted me some price for it, and okay, well, we only had the one vehicle at that time. So I was without my car for 3 days before they even got to the repair. So I'm begging, bumming rides, all this, my assistant manager was taking me and doing all the things, right? I finally get the call from the dealership. They had dropped the tank and the car was out of gas. I had just filled it up that morning. So my deadbeat husband had ran all the gas out in the span of my 1 10-hour workday. That's, on a car that size, that's probably around 400 miles. Yeah. And then just picked me up from work like nothing had happened. So it cost me the amount of the tow, which was about $40. I didn't have AAA back then. And the repair to just drop the tank and look at it and not do any work was $350. Yeah. And that's when I realized the problems that my husband actually had. Yeah. So that's my philosophy to my children now. It wasn't, there wasn't anything wrong with the car. The gas gauge, the float that's in there that registers the amount of gas, had broke. And so it wasn't telling me the car was out of gas. It still registered almost full. And that's why I taught my kids, always fill up at half a tank. And yeah, stay away from people who party a little too much.